Mr. Arnold Waite, husband, parent, man of his word, invariably leaned back in his chair after his second cup of breakfast coffee and looked with some disbelief at his wife and 2 children. His chair was situated so that when he put his head back, the sunlight, winter or summer, touched his unfaded hair with an air at once angelic and indifferent. Indifferent because, like himself, it found belief not an essential factor to its continued existence. When Mr. Waite turned his head to regard his wife and children, the sunlight moved with him, broken into patterns on the table and the floor. "Your God," he customarily remarked to Mrs. Waite down the length of the breakfast table, "has seen fit to give us a glorious day." Or, "Your God has seen fit to give us rain," or snow, or has seen fit to visit us with thunderstorms. This ritual arose from an ill-advised remark made by Mrs. Waite when her daughter was 3. Small Natalie had asked her mother what God was, and Mrs. Waite had replied that God made the world, the people in it, and the weather. Mr. Waite did not tend to let such remarks be forgotten. "God," Mr. Waite said this morning, and laughed. "I am God," he added. Natalie Waite, who was 17 years old but who felt that she had been truly conscious only since she was about 15, lived in an odd corner of a world of sound and sight past the daily voices of her father and mother and their incomprehensible actions. For the past 2 years, since, in fact, she had turned around suddenly one bright morning and seen from the corner of her eye a person called Natalie, existing, charted, inescapably located on a spot of ground, favored with sense and feet and a bright red sweater, and most obscurely alive, she had lived completely by herself, allowing not even her father access to the farther places of her mind. She visited strange countries, and the voices of their inhabitants were constantly in her ear. When her father spoke, he was accompanied by a sound of distant laughter, unheard probably by anyone except his daughter. "Well," Mr. Waite customarily remarked after he had taken his stand as God for another day, "only 21 more days before Natalie leaves us." Sometimes it was only 14 more days before Bud goes off again. Natalie was leaving for her first year in college a week after her brother went back to high school. Sometimes 21 days resolved itself into 3 weeks and seemed endless. Sometimes it seemed a matter of minutes slipping by so swiftly that there would never be time to approach college with appropriate consideration, to form a workable personality to take along. Natalie was desperately afraid of going away to college, even the college only 30 miles away that her father had chosen for her. She had 2 consolations. First, the conviction from previous experience that any place becomes home after a while, so that she might assume a reasonable probability that after a month or so the college would be familiar and her home faintly alien. Her second consolation was the recurring thought that she might always give up college if she chose and simply stay at home with her mother and father. This prospect was so horrible that Natalie found herself, when she thought confidently about it, almost enjoying her fear of going away. Thus, at 9:30 of a Sunday morning, the Waites had breakfasted together. Mr. Waite felt with complacence the touch of the sunlight on his head. Bud, stirring in his chair, sighed with the deep resignation of a boy 15 years old who is going back to high school in 14 more days. Mrs. Waite, looking deeply into her coffee cup, spoke with the soft, faintly wistful intonation she kept for her husband. "Cocktail olives," she said. It was as though she were deliberately setting him off, because Mr. Waite stared for a minute and then said emphatically, "You mean I have to make cocktails for that crew? Cocktails for 20 people? Cocktails?" "You couldn't very well ask them to drink tea," Mrs. Waite said. "Not them." Natalie, fascinated, was listening to the secret voice which followed her. It was the police detective, and he spoke sharply, incisively, through the gentle movement of her mother's voice. "How," he asked pointedly, "Ms. Waite, how do you account for the gap in time between your visit to the rose garden and your discovery of the body?" "I can't tell," Natalie said back to him in her mind, her lips not moving, her dropped eyes concealing from her family the terror she hid also from the detective. "I refuse to say," she told him. Mr. Waite spoke patiently. "You serve cocktails," he said. "You're always making them. With ordinary highballs, everyone can make his own. They will anyway," he added, driving home his point. "I didn't invite them," Mrs. Waite said. "I didn't invite them," Mr. Waite said. "I called them," Mrs. Waite said, "but you made out the list." "You realize," the detective said silently, "that this discrepancy in time may have very serious consequences for you." "I realize," Natalie said. Confess, she thought. If I confess, I might go free. Mr. Waite shifted his ground again. By now, he and his wife knew one another well enough to substitute half-hearted disagreement for a more taxing marital relationship, and an aimless, constant argument where either one took any side was to them a familiarity as affectionate as the ponderous sympathy of a Victorian household. "God," Mr. Waite said. "I wish they weren't coming." "I can cancel it," his wife said, as she always did. "I could get some work done for a change," Mr. Waite said. He looked around the table, at his wife gazing into her coffee cup, at Natalie regarding her plate, at Bud watching out the window some presumably enrapturing adolescent dream.